Welcome to Stone Cottage Studios Artist Sessions, everybody. My name is Dave Tamkin, and we're here with an extraordinary musician, Antonio Lopez. He just released his Roots and Wings album on January 1st, and I'd like to say thank you very much for making the time to come on out and do this artist interview.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having us.
Oh, well, it's always been a pleasure. I've been a fan of yours, not only just your music, but as a person for quite a while. And it just hasn't been me. I mean, since your release came out just only 4 or 5 days ago, I have notes here. I'm going to read them. So you've been on Boulder Weekly, My Taste Culture. You have a daily camera review coming out, Head Above Music. I hear that's an awesome website. I don't know who runs that. KGNU is playing all your singles, many other Front Range radio station, and your album is being added to more Spotify playlists every day. You have to feel proud about this album.
It feels really good, man. Especially just to be having the album finally coming out, 11 months into the pandemic. Been working on this album for 2 years. And it just feels good to have a positive reception from people.
I've been watching all the posts. I've been watching everyone spin your albums. I haven't posted mine yet, but I told you I listened to it twice the other day. So I have some things that I just wanted to say for this interview. So I have some questions. Yeah. I have a pop quiz first. It's guess who said this quote.
All right.
Ready? I'm a bridge builder. In a world divided, I use music as a unifying force to bridge the gap between racial, economic, and cultural divides. Music is the common ground, the meeting point, a place to both share who we are and to put aside who we are.
I'm pretty sure Dave Tamkin said that.
No, I think you said that.
Oh.
Tricky trying to put that back on me. Such an inspiring quote. And I read that in a few of your articles. Where does that come from? And how does that make you show up every day and play music?
Yeah. I would say that that's as much aspirational as how I am up to this point. That's how I try to be. My mom and my dad, they're really special people. And they were pretty involved, like in the Chicano civil rights movement in Colorado, like in the 1960s and 1970s. And just thinking about my life as a musician and how I've want to use my platform for more than just being the soundtrack to drinking beer. And just thinking about when people... Okay, say we're in the midst of a pandemic right now. And what do people turn to for comfort? They turn to music, books, movies. They turn to art. And art is a space where people are able to learn about other cultures, learn about other people's lives. So I don't really know how to wrap up what I'm trying to say, but I guess you don't really have to wrap it up. I mean, it's kind of an ongoing thing, I think that is part of the problem with where we are in society is there isn't a lot of reaching across the aisle or reaching across these divides. It's like everyone's kind of in their little boxes of comfort and their little boxes of echo chambers of people that think like them, and it's dangerous, because now there's social media and stuff, and it's just the algorithms feed people things that they agree with, so.
And now more than ever, we're already separated.
I know, dude. We're we're 9 feet apart right now.
Yeah,
10 feet.
We measured.
Yeah.
You were born here in Alamosa, Colorado.
Correct. Yeah.
Tell me how that influenced your songwriting, being from Colorado.
Yeah.
Alamosa.
So, Alamosa was a really great place to grow up. The natural beauty down there is really nice. I just really miss that sky. I really miss those mountains. But there's just like a stark beauty down there. Gets really cold. I mean, it's like gets like -40 for
Really?
like 2 weeks straight in the wintertime. So I think just like that beautifulness of down there, but also just like the rawness of it, like being so cold, and it's kind of like a little more economically depressed than the northern part of the state here. So I think that just informed my music in the sense that there is beauty, there is rawness, but there is truth in that life is just kind of matter of fact, you know. It's not like this. Just matter of fact, man.
Did you feel like life stood still during those 2 weeks at -40 degrees?
You know what, man? I just remember my feet like feeling like blocks of ice. And especially because I used to run like cross country and track.
Really?
Yeah, and that's kind of why I stuck around in Alamosa for longer, because the school down there, Adams State, has like a really good track and cross country program. So yeah, I just remember like training during the winter and that cold and build some character, man.
Well, it's probably where those vocal golden lungs come from on this album.
Maybe, man. Although I feel like that's a lifetime ago, though.
Well, with not running as much as you used to,
Yeah.
and your roots being in Alamosa, tell me about where Roots and Wings came from. What was the inspiration for this album?
Yeah. So there's maybe a few ways to answer this question. I'll try to be succinct.
We can edit
and
it
not
any way
meandering.
you see fit. So just throw them at us.
Okay.
But we're gonna keep.
I'm gonna
all this
test
in
your
anyway.
editing skills. I'm testing them. No, but so the inspiration for this album is like me and my wife Georgia. We got married in 2018, and we went to Vancouver Island in British Columbia, and just I'm a fan of like picking up the alternative newspaper wherever I am, and just kind of seeing what's going on. You know, I feel like that kind of gives you a little bit of a pulse of a place, seeing the arts and the culture. So there was this newspaper in British Columbia called the New Agora, and it kind of had a new age bent to it. But there was this article in there talking about like this new form of masculinity, and it was just like being more vulnerable and open as opposed to just being like a stone wall of macho-ness. And there was a quote in there by Goethe that just kind of hit me in the gut, and it was something to the effect of like the two things that a parent can give their children are roots and wings. And that just kind of got me thinking of the life that my parents lived and the sacrifices that they made in order for me and my siblings to have a better life.
How many siblings?
And so I'm the youngest of 5. Yeah. And that just kind of got me, you know, being a songwriter, being a musician, you spend a lot of time just thinking about shit because it kind of never ends, you know. But that just kind of got me thinking about, man, like here I am getting married, you know, kind of planning the rest of my life with my wife. And just thinking about how I want to move forward, how we want to move forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite tracks is Going to the City.
Yeah. And
you dropped a lot of singles. You dropped a few singles before the album came out.
Mm-hmm.
Were you afraid of breaking any of these singles? Do you feel the need to drop things before you release them to your fans? Tell me more about that.
So you know what, man? My strategy was the whole music business is pretty much just like tanked right now due to the pandemic. So it's like there's these like textbook ways of how you should do things. But then it's also like it's just a new world for music. So my thought is like, you know, it's kind of like maybe do 50% of the way you should and just 50% of like something completely left field. And that's why I released like 4 singles. Is that right? Yeah, 4 singles. Yeah. Like kind of right before the album comes out. It's like normally if you're doing like Music Business 101, you wouldn't do that.
Why not? I mean,
But I'm just like, you know what, man? Like, I'm a pretty unknown artist. I really,
I know you.
you know
Don't
me,
say
man.
unknown. Don't put me down. I know.
Well, thank you for knowing who
I
I
would
am.
not say you're unknown.
But you know what I mean, man.
I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think with the rules these days, there are no rules, especially with what's going on. You know, with the pandemic, one of the questions I had for you was, how do you think COVID, is going to change the release cycle, and how you handled it now compared to,
Yeah.
many other albums you've done. But I think you're saying it right now that you're going to do what feels right, what feels good. How do you connect with your fans?
Yeah, and the challenges that have arisen due to COVID, set those aside, but just thinking about the positive side of it. It's like, man, I was so busy just being a working musician for the better part of the last decade that it's like I'm pretty much like a ghost on the internet, and I have a really common name. And that was part of why I was just like,
Antonio?
Antonio Lopez, man. It's like there's other musicians with that same name. There's a painter that's pretty famous that had that name. And it's just like, it was almost like, instead of concentrating on the internet, I'm just going to concentrate on the real world. And it's like, at that point in my life, I wanted to be a working musician. So I was just like, you know what, booking gigs and showing up, doing the gig, doing that several hundred times a year, and making a living through that felt like the path at that point in time.
Well, one thing that I've noticed you're doing, a new thing you're doing right now, is working with SoundBridge Music, and you're donating some of the proceeds for the live stream that's coming up to SoundBridge Music. So can you tell me more about this nonprofit, how it started, and what's your relationship?
Yeah, so, we're a small team. We're 3 people. Trish Applegate-Lowitz, Tim Ostick, and myself. I've been on the board pretty much since the inception of the organization in 2017. And I stepped into the executive director role probably in April. But it was something we had been talking about with the rest of the team. But, pre-pandemic, some of the things we had done in the past, like we had sent some people on scholarship up to the song school up in Rocky Mountain. Help me out here, man. Rocky Mountain Song School up before the Folks Fest, up in Lyons. So we sent people on scholarship up there.
You have to give me eye signals when you're. Well, I mean, to help.
Like when I'm forget my words, I'm like,
just
Dave, what is my
like one eyebrow?
What am I trying to say?
Up, down.
Yeah, so we sent people to on scholarship up to Rocky Mountain Song School. We were doing professional development workshops, like how to send the right email to book gigs, just communicating with music bookers, running live sound, planning how to record an album, and just all the little pieces of that. And it seemed like we were getting good feedback from the music community on those. We were sending people into area nursing homes to play music. And we're doing a featured artist series, just kind of once a month, featuring their music, taping one of their shows, videoing it.
Where can we find more information on that?
SoundBridgemusic.org.
Okay.
And, now through the pandemic, we've had to kind of shift a lot of our programming into the digital world. And, honestly, we're kind of in a perilous spot, as a lot of other arts organizations are. I mean, probably about 84% of our funding dropped due to the pandemic. And obviously we can't do in-person events, and that's kind of a lot of what we did was in-person events. But, I have some really optimistic ideas for the nonprofit, and I just been talking with other musicians and seeing the needs that they have. And what I want to do is this idea I'm calling the common thread. And it comes out of a concert that we did last fall pre-pandemic. And at that concert, we called it the Common Thread concert. And it was there's a lot of musicians in this scene that play in multiple bands. Like just take Joshua Thomas, my drummer, and Chad Mathis, my bass player. You know, they play in a lot of other groups.
Don't call him Chad Mathis.
No, it's Mathis.
Yeah.
Yeah. E. Mathis. Chad E. Mathis.
Yes. Keep the E.
Yeah.
He told me not to call you Antonio. But I've been calling you Antonio since I met you. But I practiced
I like
for
it,
this.
man. No, that's good, dude.
It's just Chicago.
Yeah, dude, I like it, man.
Hey, Tony, where you going? You're like,
I like
I'll be
the
right
Chicago
back, Dave.
accent,
And
man.
then
I like it, man.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're good, dude. I just completely lost my train of thought.
I apologize.
No, you're fine. No, so we're talking about the common thread, and you know, I think we're still a long ways out from like moving out of the COVID area, and I see this winter as being really challenging for musicians. You know, and what I would like to do is, and what we're working on is, we're applying for a lot of grants right now, and we actually started receiving some back, but we want to use this grant money to create like kind of like a mutual aid system, to where like, say if there's $1,000, you know, if that $1,000, if one person just holds it, that's how much power it has. But if that $1,000 like circulates through the community, it has like a money multiplier effect. And I see like musicians, you know, like all of us you have to have a diverse skill set as a musician, you know, like Dave, like you're awesome at like music marketing, and you're awesome at like, you know, blogging and interviewing and just like staying on top of things from like a business, and like, keeping on top of your books, keeping things organized, you know? And that's something that maybe some other musicians struggle with, you know? So it's like in this common thread system that we're building, it would be like, okay, everyone has skill sets that they're able to like maybe mentor other musicians in. And then there's also like needs that they have that they could outsource to someone else, like in the guild. And it's like we'll be funded partly through grants, but then also partially it's just like what happens organically, you know, of like a marketplace. You know, it's just like marketplaces arise and business happens, you know. But it's like
hard to do these days when you aren't connecting in that way, when you're not showing up at, you know, for coffee or at the watering hole. Like, how do you watering hole? Do we show up at a watering hole?
I do, man.
But you know what I mean.
I'll get down there.
But yeah, it's like hard to make that network, especially within the last 9 months.
Yeah. So I mean, these thoughts may seem a little rambling, but it's like really in my mind, like I could see it really being a powerful thing that elevates the whole scene around us. You know, because if you just think of like wherever you are in your career, there's things to learn, there's skills to gain. And you just think of like certain other musicians in your lifetime who have like given you a helping hand.
Or for any career.
Any career.
This,
You know, it's like they're like the pay it forward mentality. Like I really feel that that's what we need to return to more than just being so commerce based. You know, because like especially in the arts world right now, it's like there's just not enough money to go around. You know, anytime a new grant opens up or a new fund for like musician relief, it's just like the amount of applications versus the amount of money there is. It's just like the demand's way more than the supply. So it's like with the grant funding that we'll get for this common thread, it's like if we get $10,000, but it's circulating and it has like a money multiplier effect, as opposed to just like, okay, we're giving out $1,000 stimulus, and I mean that's
Or this goes to just rent, and this goes, you know, not that wouldn't be a bad thing for it to go to, but if it can help someone's business grow, so that can make more money, then that's where the multiplier effect.
Exactly, yeah, and it's like, you know, like it's like if it was circulating through, and it's like, I mean, musicians are really crafty people. They're really smart people. They got a real good business sense, and it's like I see it working, man.
Well,
I'm just gonna keep doing this hand motion.
Yes. Well, I was told not to do this hand motion.
Oh, okay.
Mac, are you getting that in this camera? It's part of the interview. It's very important that you get this hand, and then this is going to be my next hand motion.
You're making fun of me now, Dave.
No. Actually, I was told not to do this because before you walked in, I was doing this a lot. And then I did this thing, and they said I look like a politician, and I should stop doing that. So thank you guys in the back. Mac and Avery, everybody, at the Artist Sessions at Stone Cottage Studios. Another thing that you're doing that I really love and appreciate just from being a music fan is that you are doing shout outs and you're calling it give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
And you're doing a highlight of all the wonderful musicians that you get to play with. And not just get to play with, but to share a stage with because they honor you in the same way you honor them. Yeah. Can you give us a little background on your band and everyone who plays on Roots and Wings?
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll start out with the two people that are joining me on this session. We got Joshua Thomas on the drums.
Do not call him JT.
Oh, you know what, dude? I think his new name should be Sexy Pockets. Just because like his drumming is so in the pocket. Sexy Pockets. I'm trying to get that going. Sexy Pockets. He just laughed when I told him that. Then we got Chad Mathis on the bass guitar. Chad contributed pretty heavily to this album. Like me and him got together a few times and kind of working on some like the vocal arrangements and just little extra parts here and there that add that extra something, you know. And we just love geeking out on music together. And
what's that app that you were saying that you and Chad were trying to sync up on because you were being COVID friendly?
Yeah. Well, Chad, man, he's like told me about this app that you're able to jam together with people in real time. And it's like we cracked the code. And he's like a smart person in tech. Like he works for Make Music, makes like Finale.
I know he makes music. But what's the name of the company?
Make Music.
No, I know that's what you guys do together. But what's the name of the company that he works for?
Make Music.
I know that's what this interview is about. But can you tell me what the name of the company Chad works?
Dave Tamkin Incorporated.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is it?
Stupid.
No,
Sorry.
you're good, man. No, it's all good. But Jammy List, that software, it's like Chad built a server, and you have to hardwire into the internet for it to work better. You can't use Wi-Fi. But apparently, like, we were testing it out last weekend. We were jamming together, and apparently, like, you could jam with people within like a 500-mile radius of you
without the latency.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And it's like it's like kind of like I mean, I'm not a technological person, so it was like pretty mind blowing to me. But it's kind of like this. Like we were jamming in there, then there's like other musician who came in there. It's just strange, man. Yeah.
Who else is on the album?
Oh yeah, we're talking about musicians on the album.
I'm just trying to
streamline.
I saw the eyebrow go up twice.
Oh yeah.
So that was me.
Okay. Yeah. So on the marimba, vibraphone, auxiliary percussion, got Jonathan Sadler, who lives up in Fort Collins. Just awesome person, awesome musician. So thankful. He's like the newest member of the band. And then we got Kate Farmer on vocals.
She's a force.
Kate Farmer is a force. Like I kind of feel ridiculous that she's singing backup vocals for me, but hey, I'm glad that she is. Then Kyle Donovan contributed. Yeah, Kyle Donovan contributed a lot of harmonies, a few guitar parts to the album. He co-wrote 42 Forward and Too Much Too Soon with me. And I hope I didn't forget anyone.
Well, you're going to get hate mail if you did.
I have to give a special shout out to Mark Venezia, who produced and engineered this record.
And at what studio was that?
It's called Wind Over the Earth.
Yep, very familiar. And Wind Over the Earth, support them. Unbelievable crew over there.
Yeah. Yeah, then we had some special guests coming on the album. Enian Tiller played some like string parts, and on Going to the City, we had a woman's chorus come in, just kind of like some of the female artists from around the scene. I think we had like maybe like 12 of them in there.
Oh wow!
That was kind of one of my favorite days of tracking this album. Just
Were you really going to the city in that song, or can you tell us now where you were really going?
I was really going to the city, man.
Okay.
It's that song is like very autobiographical in the sense that it's like I just remember as a kid like going from Alamosa to Denver because I have a lot of extended family and cousins up here. But then through like a longer length of time, it's talking about my own like personal migration. Like the only two places I've lived in my life are Alamosa and Longmont. But
would you consider yourself a long monster now?
I'm a long monster now, dude. Yeah.
I love long monsters. I love it up there.
Yeah, we're nice people, man.
Yeah, I think so. I think Boulder, get a little slammed sometimes from long monsters.
I know, dude.
But I give that love
you
back.
Know what? You know what, man? That's one thing I don't throw that hate on Boulder like most long monsters.
Well, thank you for talking about your band. If Chad was here, what do you think Chad would say about this album?
Well, I think he would say that it's round, circular in shape, with a corresponding circle in the middle. And that's regardless of format, which really speaks to its versatility as a piece of art. But seriousness aside, I think what he'd say is that it is really a document that really represents this collaboration that we forged over the last several years. In the hindsight of 2020 and everything that everybody's faced over the course of that year, we had no idea what to expect when we were recording it, and I think we're fortunate to have this snapshot in time of what we were working on as a group, and I really think that we served those songs as best as we possibly could. And I think Chad would be really proud of that.
Well, listening to it, just proud to know Chad personally. So,
I am too. He's a hell of a guy, so.
That's what people say.
Yeah.
Well, Chad Mathis, thank you very much for, making the time to at least show up today.
Oh, absolutely. I had just enough time to make it, so thank you.
Glad to have you as always.
Thanks.
Well, you talked about Joshua.
Yeah.
What do you think he would say about Chad?
That's a great question. Chad is very articulate. He's very articulate in the way he speaks and the way he plays. Most importantly, the way he plays and the way he tells jokes. If you have the pleasure to sit in with Chad, he will talk your ear off about theory and then randomly go into a joke and then bust out into laughter, which I think is just endearing in it to say itself. But overall, I think Chad has been a great middleman between Antonio and I to steer us into the direction to really creating this album and this piece of work.
Well, I look forward to watching you both play this upcoming Saturday with Antonio at the live stream. So
me too.
Thanks for making the time. Appreciate
definitely.
You and I were having a conversation about artists that inspire us. And I would like to know, in your opinion, why is the music of Corey Wong, for you, so right?
Yeah. It's right on middle levels. For one, he released like 9 albums in 2020. It's like it's just ridiculous amount of output, and just inspiring, to see a musician kind of make lemonade out of the lemons of this year that were with us. And I feel like just the spirit and tenacity that he went after this year with, like he really lit a lot of people up with that. And it's like, hey man, he did an album with John Baptiste now that I think since we did that interview for Head Above Music, like now they got a Grammy nomination on that. And I was watching like an Instagram live from him maybe a couple days before the New Year's. And he was saying how like, you all thought I was productive in 2020. Just wait to see what I have in the plans for 2021. And it's just like he's got like a podcast, like probably 5 different YouTube video series. It's just like his output that he puts in, and just like the benchmark for quality in it all is just like ridiculous.
Well, I'm a fan, and when I, had that interview with you, I was just like, I can't wait to talk.
Yeah.
More Corey Wong with you.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you.
Okay.
One of the most inspiring things that for me, watching you do live streams in 2020, and you were religious about it. You had one coming out quite like how often would you say?
I did them every Thursday, like right when the pandemic hit. I did them every Thursday for 14 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. It was to the point where I knew when to tune in again. So it was just like, wait for that next one. So
yeah,
it was pretty inspiring.
Thanks, man.
At Stone Cottage Studios, we're so happy to have you here on this Saturday. Tell us what you're looking forward to. That's a little bit different than how you handle things when you were doing it during those 14
Yeah,
weeks.
well, for one thing, what y'all are doing here at Stone Cottage is way more professional than what I was doing from my music room.
Well,
So
you were showing up, so it's different. But you showed up for 14 weeks, which is pretty awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited about being able to play music with my friends again. I think our last gig was like February 1st. So that's already over 11 months ago. So I'm thankful that we have another gig again. I'm thankful that we're able to celebrate the release of the new album Roots and Wings with this live stream that's just at a really professional quality. And I'm kind of weird in the sense that like I'm always like reaching and kind of punching above my weight class. And I feel like that, like I'm a really quiet person. I'm a really like soft-spoken person.
I'm sorry, what was that? Can you speak up?
Yeah, but I feel like that
You're
combination.
You're just gonna let me hang on that one? That was pretty good.
That was good, dude. That was good, man. No, that was great, Dave. But I was gonna say, like, I feel like you don't have to be like in your face and like this big personality to like inspire people. And that's something that I've struggled with, like being a quiet person, being like a pretty, I don't want to say low energy because that's like not the right thing, but just like a very gentle energy where it's like, like how you think of musicians a lot of times is kind of like more like a rock star persona, like, hey, hey, hey,
Like how?
Hey, hey, hey. But I don't know, man. I just feel like, you at a certain point in your life, as you get older, you start getting more comfortable in your skin and you figure out like your own way of doing things. And you figure out that like really the path of a musician is more about becoming themselves than becoming anything that's outside of themselves. And I don't know, I feel like on this record, like I'm kind of stepping into something that I've always been, something that I've always believed I could be. And I'm just kind of actualizing that, because This is going to sound really corny, but I kind of feel like you have to live your life like you're a hero in a story. And especially like on this musician path that we're on, because there's so many challenges that we're up against, especially now with COVID, that it's very easy to just get overwhelmed and throw in the towel. So in those moments, you need to like almost ask yourself, like, okay, if I was in a story, how would the hero handle this?
Well, I think you're doing a fantastic job, not only on the hero part of it, because you're helping others with your music, and you're giving shout outs to the heroes around you as well, the musicians that help not only lift you and your music up, but you give them inspiration to show up to be the best that they can. As someone who has had the pleasure of hanging out with you, I think your personality comes across as very calming in a sea of hectic music business world that you and I find ourselves in quite a bit. And it is always a pleasure to see you, because it is grounding to be like, I don't have to be anybody but who I am when I'm around this gentleman. So
I love Dame Tavigan.
it's always a pleasure to see you. And thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for sharing your music with us. One thing I have to stop saying is but the second thing I have to start saying is that you also brought Dryland Distiller to sponsor us for this upcoming weekend.
Yeah.
They heard that you were playing, and they stepped out in front, and they said, we're going to give you our cactus spirit, which means we lost one cactus for this spirit that we will not open until this Saturday afterwards.
Okay.
And we will share a small drink together. But thank you very much for coming. Thank you, everyone else, for listening to Stone Cottage Studio Artist Session. Thank you, Mac. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Avery. And especially Jamie Menard for putting this all together and making this happen. So we'll see you this Saturday, and everyone else, have a great night. Thank you.
Highway 160 across the Vita Pass, past the Acorn where we stopped for gas. The smell of pinon, the earthy note of fall. Going to the city. After we'd fill up, we'd cash out 25. We'll start spinning faster for the rest of the divide. So when you grow up, we dream of when you were young. But in those days, you couldn't wait for these to come. Going to the city. Going to the city. Going to the city. Further up north, scars up on the line. Zeros and ones replace the heart and the hand. Is this a plot twist, or is it part of the plan? To grow further from nature is the nature of the man. Going to the city. Going to the city. Going to the city. From nature is the nature of the man. To grow further from nature is the nature of the man. To grow further from nature is the nature of the man. grow further from nature. It's the nature of the man. Go into the city. 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 Go to the city. Go to the city. Go to the city. Mama gave me roots, Daddy gave me wings. Mama gave me breath, Dad taught me to sing. Mama gave me air, Daddy gave me a feather. Mama knew the seasons, Dad knew the weather. Mama gave me roots, Daddy gave me wings. Mama gave me breath, Dad taught me to sing. Mama gave me sun, Daddy gave me shade. Mama was light, Dad knew what darkness way. Dad knew what darkness way. I am a head on an upside down tree. I am a branch in my family. Mama gave me roots, Daddy gave me wings. Mama gave me breath, Dad taught me to sing. Mama gave me roots, Daddy gave me wings. Mama gave me breath, Dad taught me to sing. Dad taught me to sing. Dad taught me to sing. Inability to find the words doesn't change the way I feel. I love my crazy family, and I always will. I know I seldom call on the phone, and at times you feel all alone. You're on my mind more than you know, walking beside me wherever I go. Yet on our paths we march alone. The hurt of the past is frost on our bones. To hold it in is to drown in the well. It's time time to listen to each other and the truth that we tell. Days turn to weeks, weeks into years. The lump in my throat is words nobody hears. Still hope springs inside my chest, trickling through the cracks of the mess. We shared with blood cells, white ones too. I wanna share my world with you. I wanna share hope, even despair. Without love, what is there? Yet on our paths we march alone. The hurt of the past is frost on our bones. To hold it in is to drown in the well. It's time to listen to each other and the truth that we tell. If I drove all through the night, showed up at your door, would you let me in to talk? Or would you say that you've heard it all before? Yet on our paths we march alone. The hurt of the past is frost on our bones. To hold it in is to drown in the well. It's time to listen to each other and the truth that we tell. It's time to listen